Well, Jessie is busy at work with her usual excavation project, and we are busy in the garden because it is July, and July is often referred to as the high holy days of gardening, especially here in the Northeast, and we've got a lot going on. We've got some good stuff to show you. We've also got some bad and ugly stuff to show you because we've had a few disasters around here, but we have a lot of good stuff happening too. So let's get started. And traditionally we start with chives, and they're looking a little tired, but they're doing just fine, as they tend to do all season long. But over here in bed one, look at these fine heads of cabbage. They are just about ready to be picked, and they're all looking very, very nice. I've never had this variety before, so we'll see. This vacant aisle here is where the broccoli used to be. It's all done for. We had a pretty good season. And this is Brussels sprouts, which they're starting to show some sprouts down in there, but nothing harvestable yet. Inside we have some cabbage and broccoli seedlings going, and we'll get those into the garden a little later this month for a nice fall crop. Meanwhile, summer squash, you can see that zucchini there is just about ready. We got another one on the end here, I think, that's looking very fine. We've had lots of summer squash already. The crookneck squash, don't know if we have one that's ready today, but we've had a lot of them coming in. You can see down here, I think there's one that's just about ready. If you can see that, not real easy to see. And there's a little tiny baby one. And then we've got scallop squash here. There's a little one starting to come in. We've got one on the other end that I know is ready. And the okra is doing really fine. There's one that's a handsome pod that's ready to go. And so is this one. This variety again is a Perkins long pod. So we of course had to try that. Here's that scallop squash that I was telling you about. It's ready to go. That's a nice scallop squash. Meanwhile, sweet potatoes, which won't be harvested until the first frost, but you can see that it's just covering this end of the bed, which is just what we like to see. Nice healthy growth. As long as we don't have any rodent damage, we'll be in good shape. But speaking of glorious, look at this corn. Now, I haven't measured it, but I'm going to say that corn is 10 feet tall, easily, maybe more than that. And we do have ears developing, as you can tell by the silks. Of course, the tassels are out also. And this is the season where I like to stroll through the corn and shake it so that the pollen from the tassels falls down on the silks, which is the way that corn gets pollinated. And it's just fun to walk through the corn and do that. The rest of this bed, this is where the peas used to be, and we had a great pea harvest this year, great stand of peas, as I mentioned last time. And we've also planted a second planting of peas, so hopefully they'll come in and we'll get a few peas out of that. The lettuce is all pretty much bolting, but still usable. I just snip it off and take it in and put it in the refrigerator in a Ziploc bag, and they seem to work pretty well. I haven't had a bitter leaf yet, so even though they're bolting, they're pretty good. This is an albino beet, and that's a pretty nice looking beet. We'll bring that one in tonight. I haven't tasted them yet, don't know how they'll taste, but That one's looking pretty good anyway. And this is a row of carrots. I don't think I'll try to pull one of those. I don't think they're quite ready. But they're looking pretty healthy. And there's another row of carrots behind there. And there's Jessie checking out some more holes. Because you can't have too many holes to dig in the garden. And she is allowed that luxury. As long as she's not digging in the beds, she can dig as many holes as she wants, because that's kind of her job. Now, this is where the garlic used to be. It has been harvested, and I think I have a clip here. And as you can see, we've got a nice harvest. Some nice big elephant garlic cloves. Some as big as my fist almost. So that was nice. And you can see the onions here are bulbing nicely. These are really nice big, if you can see my hand there, these are nice big onion bulbs. They're just coming in nicely and starting to fall over too. You can see a lot of them are falling over, which means that we'll probably be harvesting them maybe as early as next week. But it's very promising, looking good in the onion department. This used to be red Norland potatoes. We pulled them this weekend actually, and I'll show you those in a second. And this is Yukon Gold and a russet potato that I can't remember what variety this is. I'm kind of upset about that, but and this is a weed. So we'll just take that out. Okay. But here, let me show you the red Norland potatoes, because I have something else to show you, which is what they're sitting on. But that's a nice harvest. I'm guessing that's about 10 pounds, maybe a little more, of red Norland. And the good news is not a hint of any rodent damage whatsoever. And some of these are really nice size potatoes too. They'll be very nice. And I only speared a couple of them. This one's speared, you can see. I just got to cook those first, that's all. Now, what they're sitting on is something I want to tell you about. This is my new homemade drying rack. And it's made of this prefab railing that I got at Home Depot, which is the exact same thing that I'm using over in the grow house here. To put everything on. In fact, that's initially what I got them for. But I decided to take that, and don't get dizzy on me, I know I'm flipping around here pretty quick. I turned it upside down and then put a couple of lag bolts down through the rail here into 4x4s, and then braced that up with some 1x4 pressure treated lumber. I salvaged these wheels from what I used to use as a drying rack, which was a couple of old lawn chairs, and so the wheels on the end make it so that I can, lift up one end and just wheel it to wherever I want it. Then for the drying surface, this is just some heavy-duty nylon screening, which I stapled in place. And you couldn't see it very well from that side, but you can see the staples in there, and so that gives them a nice surface to dry on with a lot of air circulation. And then finally, what's over the top there is not so much for potatoes, but when you have like onions that have to dry for several days outside, you don't want them to get rained on, so that's what that plastic covering is for, is to protect from any rain. And what that is these are 3/4 inch conduit, electrical conduit, and I purchased a tool from Johnny's Seeds, and its sole purpose is to take these 10-foot conduits, which again I got at Home Depot, and bend them into these 6-foot diameter hoops. And they're great for just constructing sort of these mini greenhouses, really. But if you use these clips that also are available at Johnny's Seeds and some plastic sheeting, you can just clamp on this sheeting, and I've got them you know, bolted here to the legs, so it's very sturdy, and you end up with a nice drying rack complete with protection from rain, and it doesn't look all that bad either. It's a little weird looking, but not too bad. So anyway, long story short, our potatoes are just airing for a couple of days, and tonight I'm going to bag them up and take them inside, and we'll be ready to go. So I think that takes care of beds 1, 2, and 3, and on to the glory of bed number 4. Now, look at those tomatoes. I just love seeing the tomatoes like this. Some people like to, you know, pinch off their tomatoes, you know, so they don't get too big and grow all over the place. I prefer to just let them go, and they are going. But speaking of things that are going, look at these peppers. These are, I think these are called long Thai, but this is a mixed row of peppers. I just threw everything that I had left over in here, but you can see we got lots of peppers, and we also got lots of tomatoes. This is the largest variety I'm growing. These are called Delicious. That's its simple name, and hopefully they live up to their name. And as you can see here, yeah, we got redness happening. Those might be pullable, I don't know. These are a variety of San Marzano. Interesting shape. I really like the shape, this sort of oblong shape. These are the tallest of all. They're almost, well, I'd say they're easy 5 feet tall. Maybe you could stretch it and say 6 feet. But lots of good looking tomatoes. None of them have started to turn red yet, but they are all over the place, and just a bunch of nice ones. These are Starlini, I think they're called. A lot more close to harvestable. Not quite as big a plant, but they are producing nicely. We did have a lot of brown leaves on these guys, so I'm not really sure what's going on with them. But lots of tomatoes, as you can see. On to the peppers proper. This is called Ozark Giant, and you can see those are very nice size bell peppers. And there's a lot of them here. I haven't pulled any of these yet because I wanted to see how big they get. And they're looking pretty good. These, I can't remember which is which out here, but these might be Tequila Sunrise. I can't remember. I have to get that straight. But whatever they are, they're doing great. And so are our little marigolds that we have planted on every end of every row. This is a banana pepper type. Also just doing very fine. And our eggplants, although still being attacked by flea beetles, are doing pretty well. And there's a nice looking eggplant there. That purple color is just fun to have in the garden, you know, as a contrast to the other colors that are around. Now, here we are to the pole bean section, and as you can see, they are just crawling up my structures here vigorously, very nicely. These are the Scarlet Runner, which have those great blooms. I haven't seen any beans yet, but beans tend to come later in the season. But I am encouraged by all this nice vining that we see. The one plant there on the end, I think that's the yard-long beans, are the least vigorous grower. But all these others are really just climbing like crazy, so hopefully that means we're going to have a nice bean harvest. Meanwhile, over in the melon patch, you can see that they haven't quite covered everything yet, but they're getting there. And what's really exciting is that right there. That's a little melon. Sure enough, oh, the thought of a big ripe melon in August, warm from the sun still. Oh, if you've never had that, oh, you've got to have that just one time. So far, the melons are looking pretty good. You can see that we have at least 3 melons already started. So that's good news. And if they keep growing vigorously and stay healthy, we might have some nice melons this season. Now, the last time I told you the ground cherries, which is what these are, were very disappointing. They've actually recovered quite a bit. This plant here is pretty healthy. As are all of these, and you can see in there are the little encasements that these little ground cherries grow in, and this is what happens. They end up on the ground just like this, which is, I guess, why they're called ground cherries. And you just pop them out of that little container, and there's your little ground cherry, and they're good. They're sweet little cherries, old cherry-like fruit, and you just wait for them to drop on the ground, which is why they're called ground cherries. So, pardon me for eating while I'm making this video, but these are just little gardener's treats, you know. Not necessarily a huge harvest, but something to snack on while you're out here in the garden. And they're pretty darn good too. They're sweet. I like them. So my previous disappointment with these guys was turned into an enjoyment of their little fruits. They're just good. I like them. Anyway, on to the winter squash area, and you can see here we got some stuff going. That is a Blue Hubbard. These are acorn squash, Ford hook acorn. I think they're supposed to turn yellow. There's another Blue Hubbard. We've got lots of winter squash. And I'm hoping that these vines stay healthy. That seems to be the biggest problem that I have with all my winter squash and pumpkins, is keeping the vines healthy. This guy is not going to make it. That's an Australian, I forget the name of him. But there's a Waltham butternut that looks very nice right next to a nice Ford hook acorn. And we have quite a few nice Waltham butternuts coming in. There's another one. Let me find you one of these Australians that is coming in nice. You can see how big that is. It's going to turn yellow-orange, and it's got an interesting shape. It's almost a box-like shape, but very nice. Anyway, lots of good winter squash coming in of all the varieties. There's another nice Australian. So that's pretty good. We do have some yellowing of the leaves in the winter squash area, and that seems to be the hardest thing with these winter squash and pumpkins, is keeping the vines healthy. And that brings us to the subject of one of our disasters so far this season. So unfortunately we have to get on to that. While I walk out to the pumpkin patch, you watch this, and it'll explain where we're going. Gardening is far from an exact science, and sometimes things don't work out the way you want. So although we show you a lot of good results here in the garden, in Marvin's garden, today we're going to show you some of the bad and the ugly. This is called the death of a giant pumpkin plant, and this was the most promising plant to begin with. Most aggressive grower. It was the up the earliest of all the plants, and it got the prime spot in the bed here, but it never set a single pumpkin, and by the 1st of July it was pretty obvious that it was in deep trouble. Now you can see the browning and drooping leaves, yellowing leaves, and this main vine here, which goes out to the end there, you can see is just completely dead. There's a few leaves that are still alive and a few pieces of vine that are alive, but it's done for. I'm going to have to pull this entire plant out of here. Luckily, the two auxiliary plants, that one being the healthiest, are still looking pretty good, and this guy even has a couple of good size pumpkins going already. I don't know if you can see that guy down in there, and I think the biggest one so far is this one over here. So we've got high hopes for this plant here, but that's the main problem that I've had with these giant pumpkins all along, is, and winter squash for that matter, is just keeping the vines alive and healthy. They seem to be susceptible to lots of different diseases. This might be bacterium wilt, but I'm not sure. But I know for one thing, and that's, or I know for sure for one thing, is that he's done for. So we're gonna have to say goodbye to this plant and hope that the two backup plants can hang in there and give us some nice pumpkins. But this guy is done for. It's too bad. So not only did we lose that one plant, but we also had to take out the second plant because it went under stress very quickly afterwards. So now this entire area is just leftover marigolds. We still have one plant left, but I'm sorry to report that this plant is also showing all kinds of stress signs. So all those droopy leaves, those browning leaves, something's got to this guy. There are a lot of healthy leaves still left, but I'm very doubtful that this this vine is going to survive. And we do have one pumpkin left, but I don't think it's going to make it either. I think this plant is doomed, and that pumpkin is doomed as well, and will probably end up the same fate as, unfortunately, this pumpkin, which was up to now was the most promising that I had, and these vines, which is where the vines end up when they die. So this is nothing short of an extremely disappointing Dill's Atlantic giant season, because we're only halfway through July, and essentially we're done for the season. So we're not going to see any giant pumpkins. We may not end up with any pumpkins from this variety. So that's kind of too bad. But we do have some good news. The peripheral winter squash that we planted are doing pretty well. They're outside the garden proper. But we do have some nice squash going, and as you can see, I put them on these plates just to lift them up off the ground a little bit and makes them easier to find as well. But these are rumbo squash. Those are doing pretty well, and this is a Connecticut field pumpkin. Nice size, already starting to turn orange a little bit. They turn orange in the summer. Surprising. It's always surprising for me. That's a pumpkin that didn't make it. But we've got a few out here. Here's one that's just getting ready to bloom, actually. So hopefully that guy will get pollinated and have enough time to get big. Here's another rumbo squash looking pretty good, and another good sized one out here. So I don't know if I'm getting as many winter squash here as I was hoping to get, but luckily I do have some going, and they're doing pretty well. Here's a couple of more Connecticut field pumpkins that are doing okay. So that's pretty good news on the winter squash front anyway. Let's see what else we got going on. I think that might be it. Well, there's Jessie. Let's see what she thinks. Is that just about it, Jessie, or have we got anything else to show them? Oh, we do have that. Some of these, that's a Connecticut field pumpkin that came over on this side of the fence inside the garden. Here's one that's hanging out the fence. I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with that one before it falls off. And there's a rumbo squash that snuck in on this side of the fence as well. But like I say, I think that's about it for this time around. We got some nice peppers coming in on the back deck planters, and some tomatoes out there as well. But I think that's pretty much going to do it. This is July 2010 Marvin Gardens. You've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. But we got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff coming in. So that's all good stuff. And we'll see you next month in August. And hopefully that's going to be the month that we have some corn to show you. And that's always fun. Oh, it's funny. Jessie's already looking for corn. She goes in the corn rows there and looks up to see if she can see any corn. Every once in a while she stands up to try and knock one over, and I yell at her for that. But she knows corn and she's waiting for it, so I've promised her she can have some dog corn. Anyway, that's gonna do it. We're done. July 2011 Marvin Gardens. We will see you all next month in August, and hopefully more good stuff to show you then. See you all later. Bye.